hello, and welcome back to a new Finally Reunited, and it feels so good. We're all back together after our trip to Russia and our first episode in like a month. Welcome back, and happy International Men's Day to two of the most mediocre men in my life.
Well, actually, we had one episode, but it was on Salary of Life in Moscow. Doesn't count. Why?
Listen.
Because it's Russian propaganda?
Russian propaganda. Well,
it still counts. I mean, our Western audience like the Russian propaganda, maybe even more. I'm not sure.
Well,
okay, guys, what kind of propaganda you like?
Russian is my favorite. China's second, close second.
Yeah, China.
What about Iranian?
The Iranian propaganda.
That's good propaganda. That propaganda is good.
It's good, but just the lack of bite behind it, it makes it kind of cringe sometimes. So.
Well, a lot of bragging and make Hezbollah alive again and so on.
Oh my God. Will you stop? All right, tell us about the SMO before we talk about the nuclear holocaust we'll all be suffering from in a week.
Well, I heard about some site, some service that provide bets on Holocaust and nuclear war.
Oh, are you placing bets now?
I know our Visa and MasterCard or Mirror system are not working in US. So I wanted to ask you to place a bet on nuclear Holocaust this year.
Yeah.
I just want my 10 million. You know that.
We're turning you in for that. We're not. That's not a bet.
Well, it's not working at all.
Next time we come to Russia, we'll kidnapping you and bringing you back to the State Department.
Yeah, get our 10 million.
Guys, you Americans always talk about money. It's only thing.
It's who we are.
You brought it up. You brought up gambling. You're the that influence, not us.
I'm allowed to talk about it because I'm Russian. Well, Russian always needs some Western money.
Well, Americans always need
will be. Yeah, but I'm just asking. But you demand money.
So it's interesting. The odds of a nuclear weapon going off in the year 2024 are at 12%, down 22%. Very interesting. Would you like to bet on this? It costs 12 cents.
That actually seems like a good bet. But we have to account for inflation in the event.
I have a propositions. Let's start from next show, from next episode. We will bet every hour episode $10 on every chance of conflict in the Middle East, in SMO operation as well. Let's make a new move in our episode, like geopolitical betting.
With real
maybe this could be a new business idea.
I feel like there's a conflict of interest in here somewhere.
There definitely is. And even if there's not a conflict of interest, there's
I will bet on the scenario where Russia bombs US. You'll bet on scenario where US bombs Russia.
Okay.
There is no conflict of interest. We'll cover everything.
Somebody's going to win. We might both win. Who knows?
Yep. And it's like solving our problems with funding. We don't need to find new contracts, new grants, and so on. We'll just start betting. Geopolitical casino.
Geopolitical casino. I love that. Multipolar. Multipolar, multi-gambling, multi-betting casino.
BRICS casino.
BRICS casino. There we go. All right, tell us about the
payment system don't work, so we'll use casino.
We'll use casino. All right. SMO updates. How much has Russia taken in the last month since we haven't been here?
Oh, a lot. Let's talk again about nuclear war. It's more interesting.
Yeah, we can.
Well,
all right, let's start with the nuclear war then.
Well, okay, SMO, nuclear war, who will discuss it from which point of view? You know, we didn't discuss scenario of this episode, so who will start speaking?
You were supposed to start with the SMO updates, but now you want to talk about nuclear war, so.
Well, it's always problems with Russian. They expect us to win the war, but we're going to start another one.
Well, what is going on even inside of Donetsk? What's going on even inside of Ukraine? Is there still a steady advancement to the west, or like what?
Okay, let's bring some maps and I'll describe
Do it.
everything to you
Let's
guys.
do it.
Let's do it. Where is our maps guy who brings some
Map guy.
maps? Map guy, we are calling to you.
Map guy.
Where is our
Right,
Geo
here we
wizard?
go.
Oh, it's Kupiansk maps. Okay, we'll start with that. You know that Kupiansk is a region that was lost in 2022. It was actually a capital of Kharkiv region. We captured during our during beginning of special military operations. So when we lost it, it caused some mental trauma to our commandment, to our people. So every news about recapturing of Kupiansk, it's like boom, breaking news. We are again in Kupiansk, and there was a lot of such kind of news during these 2 years. But right now, we see that Russian troops actually managed to enter eastern Kupiansk from northeast, from Sinkovka and Petropavlovka. We liberated bank of Oskol River and managed to get a hold in southeastern part, northeastern part. It's a problem with me and my GeoInt system, I suppose. In any case, battle for Kupiansk began, and even Zelensky visited Kupiansk, and world media started talking about how Kupiansk is prepared to be handed to Russia. It's not a case because you understand that there is no like handing over some cities to Russia because it's always a tough battle. And battle in eastern Kharkiv region is most fierce one because we had a lot of casualties, we had a lot of lost soldiers and vehicles. And right now we managed only to get a hold on outskirts of eastern Kupiansk. And right now we try to move from the south, from villages of Kruglyakhovka and Kolesnikovka. We are trying to advance towards southern Kupiansk and encircle all Ukrainian troops inside this region. And other grouping of Russian troops is trying to advance towards Borovaya. Borovaya is the second stronghold south of Kupiansk. It's actually 3 strongholds there: Kupiansk, Borovaya, and Liman. Let's move to next map. In Liman region, we continue to advance to Borovaya as well. And right now, liberation of Borovaya and nearby villages will open a way to liberating region between 2 rivers. You see there is Oskol River in the west and Zherebets River in the east. Right now, we are trying to clean land east of Zherebets River and get a hold in Terny village. It's village we tried to recapture since 2022, and it's like ruined ghost town. And right now we managed to capture only one fourth part of it. I mean 25%, and didn't get access to other parts. And the problem is, if we want to advance to Liman and after that to Slaviansk, one of the main city symbols in Donetsk People Republic, we need to get to Liman through these villages. There are some fierce battles, there's a lot of fortified positions, and our grouping of troops actually have some problems with advancing there. Next region,
Mikhail,
south direction.
Mikhail, I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you, the Western media has talked a lot about Russia advancing towards the east bank of the Oskol River. What's kind of the significance of this, like in kind of the overall strategy? Because now we've seen 2 maps where Russia's kind of making sweeping advances. In the Kupiansk region, they captured a portion of the east bank. Is this kind of a
small portion?
Objective?
Small portion. Problem is that between these 2 rivers, there is like a vast space. You see, there are some villages there, for example, Zeleная Dolina, Stavki, Shaykovka, Izumska, but it's like ruined villages without any hold there. And when we try to cross from one bank of a river, from bank of Zherebets River to the Oskol River, we need to move through open space. And right now, Ukrainian troops have an advantage in using FPV drones because, it's Google who is behind them, it's transnational corporations who are behind them, who use the FPV drones and artificial intelligence systems. So we now battling not only against Ukrainian troops, but against big data corporations as well. And if we manage to capture positions along east bank of Oskol River, we will be able to move from village to village to liberate in street combat these villages. And it will be a more successful way, I suppose, especially in winter, because in winter it's easier to recapture cities, towns, and villages through close combat, because there is not a lot of open spaces for FPV drones.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main reason. Let's move to Seversk direction. Seversk direction is a city which is a key to advancing towards Slaviansk as well from east. But since the beginning of this year, there was a lot of lies on that direction. And last week, we heard that the decision was made to arrest several commanders of Russian army who were lying about villages that were not actually captured by Russian troops. And they spent a lot of people's lives to recapture them. It's like a false report about capturing villages, and you are obliged after it to recapture it. But the problem is that we write a lot about problems from that direction, but we managed to heal that wound in our military system only after some commission from our general of staff decided to visit these false captured villages. And after that, they found out that all that we reported were true. And actually, there is a lot of lies in this region. And several commanders just spent hundreds of soldiers' lives to reclaim villages that actually had never been Russian. And I suppose after replacement of some commanders of third Russian military corps, there will be some significant change in our tactics on that direction, and maybe we will see battle for Seversk in closest months. Chasov Yar. In Chasov Yar, we managed to capture 1/3 of the city. It's like some kind of helicopter propeller. It's like a triangle, 3 parts of the city, and we managed to get to geographical center of the city through northeastern part, advancing from Kalinovka village and from Bogdanovka. Right now, closest combat rolls on in a park near Avangard Stadium. And in the south, we did not manage to capture all strategical points. There is a lot of local local hills, I suppose, and local mines that are tactically significant for advancing. And right now we control only part of them. Others are under control of Ukrainian troops. So the battle rolls on. Our airborne troops, our Arctic brigades, our Española brigade trying to advance in Chasov Yar, but there is a lot of job to do before victory over the city. And battle for Chasov Yar and winning over the city will open a way to advance to Konstantinovka, which is a much more bigger city and has a more significance in liberation of the northern part of Donetsk People Republic. In the south, the battle for Klishivka hills continues. There is a patch of land which was occupied during a long period of time by Ukrainian troops. And actually, if we manage to capture of the strategical hills, we will get an opportunity to cross Siversky Donetsk channel and get to village east-south of Konstantinovka, and we'll try to storm and assault positions there. It will ease pressure on our troops in Toretsk region. Next map. Battle for Toretsk, or as they call it, Dzержinsk, is a second Bakhmut battle, because right now we stuck in the middle of a city. We have a fierce counteroffensive attacks from Ukrainian troops, and battle for Toretsk continues for a much longer period than operation to liberate Selidova or Kurakhova. And right now we control only like 30% of the city. Yeah, we are near a center of the city, but we don't hold main position, for example, for in Dzержinski mine. It's most high point of the city. After liberation of Toretsk, we'll get an opportunity to advance towards Konstantinovka, but we need more time, we need more ammo, we need more pressure, we need more power to continue advancing on that direction, because right now Ukrainian troops managed to not only defend their position, but to recapture lost points. For example, in a village of Leonidovka and northern part of Nilepovka village, they managed to push our troops to our previous positions and recapture these villages. So right now we face here some of most equipped Ukrainian units, and right now we cannot say that Toretsk will be liberated in coming days or 2 or 3 weeks. It's just some kind of fantasy. We need 2 or 3 months to liberate it, and we need to pressure.
You talked about this being the second Bakhmut and mentioned some of the most advanced Ukrainian units are in this region. What's the significance of this? And why is Ukraine kind of focusing in on Toretsk as a key stronghold?
Well, Toretsk is one of several key strongholds. Chasov Yar is one of them. Pokrovsk is one of them. Toretsk as well. Toretsk is close to Gorlovka. Gorlovka, one of cities near Donetsk region. And right now they don't have an opportunity to just shell Donetsk, because front just moved to the west. And they started shelling fiercely Gorlovka and killing civilians there. If we liberate Toretsk, it will ease pressure on Gorlovka, on our civilian regions, and we will have an opportunity to use that opening to advance to the west and south of Konstantinovka and like encircle it. And it will be the beginning of recapturing one of main cities in northern part of Donetsk region. So after Toretsk, after fall of it, we'll have an opportunity to cut Donetsk region of Ukraine into pieces, advancing not only from southern part, but from central part as well. Next map, Pokrovsk direction. After liberation of Selidova village, or Selidova town, I'm sorry, we tried to advance to the west. It's like to expand some buffer zone in preparation for continuing of advance towards Mirnograd and Pokrovsk. But right now, the focus of our troops lies on the south, on Kurakhova, and only a part of our troops right now are advancing westwards from Selidova. So don't think that Russian stopped after Selidova. Maybe Ukrainian forces are there, are so strong they cannot do that task. No, it's just like cutting a pie in several pieces and trying to eat it piece by piece. We are talking about a huge amount of territory. So we cannot just use our troops, go there, go to the next point, go to the third point in one time. We need to focus on several strongholds in a time, like Chasov Yar, Toretsk, and Kurakhova. And then, after liberation of these points, start to advance towards others. Let's go to Kurakhova region. In Kurahovo region, we managed from last time we speak to start battle for Kurahovo. Actually, we advanced from northern part from Selidova, from eastern part from Maximilianovka and Krasnogorovka. We managed to capture villages north of Kurahovo reservoir. We managed to cut communication south of Kurahovo. And right now, Kurahovo is one of main points we will liberate before the end of this year. It will be a huge victory because, it's like a last stronghold west of Donetsk. After that, it's only some steppe and some plains till the Dnipropetrovsk region, till Pavlograd. And it will be much more easier to liberate these regions after capturing of Kurahovo. And after that, we will continue to advance northwards. Next map. After advancing towards Kurahovo from the south, our Vostok grouping of troops, it's grouping of troops which consists from our units from eastern part of Russia, started advancing from not only from Ugledar to the west towards Velika Novoselka, but towards north as well. We recaptured Ravnopol, we recaptured Novodarovka. These villages were lost during counteroffensive of Ukrainian troops in 2023. So it's like a great symbolic victory for our troops. And right now we're advancing towards Velika Novoselovka and chain of villages near it from east, from south, and from west. And after that, you see a red line in northern part of map. It's a border between Donetsk People Republic and Dnipropetrovsk region of Ukraine. So after terminating Ukrainian defenses in Novopol, Zelenopole, Termirovka, we can say that we enter Dnipropetrovsk region. Significantly, it will be like a boom for all mass media all over the world, and it will be a huge victory for us. And right now, I can say that we hold a tactical initiative on a field. Strategically, we cannot say that we are advancing on every direction. After all, there are some problems in Kursk region, there are some problems in Kharkiv direction, and we don't advance on Kherson region. And in Zaporozhye region, we just started sharing of Ukrainian troops. So strategically, we are not advancing on all directions, but tactically, we hold initiative. That's all you should know about special military operation updates.
I think that provides us a good context for our next subject of discussion, which is going to be nuclear annihilation.
Why don't we go through that a little bit chronologically? Because I literally woke up to texts that were just like "Happy World War III," and I know there was permission given, and then that was kind of backtracked, and then can we take it from the top?
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, how far back should we go? Because we can really go back.
Biden giving permission, maybe? I don't know. Okay, you could go back to September. Go ahead.
Well, the United States has signaled for a while that it would be potentially willing to allow Ukraine to use its long-range missile systems to strike in to the territory of Russia. Of course, we've kind of been waiting. And now with the election behind us, I think that this is like some critical context here. Because it's very interesting that we see a move just a little over a week after Biden loses significantly to Trump. Trump begins to appoint his cabinet picks, which include people who are very skeptical of Ukraine, like RFK, Matt Gaetz, Tulsi Gabbard, and a couple of others. Of course, it's a mixed bag, and we talked about that with Rachel yesterday. But now we saw this morning, nearly 2 days after it was reported that Biden had lifted restrictions on the use of missiles on internationally recognized Russian territory, that Ukraine has launched 6 US-made ATACMS missiles at Russia's Bryansk region. And we've also heard for a period of months Russia saying what this would mean. This would basically mean that we see a direct involvement on behalf of the United States and NATO in the conflict, because these missile systems really can't be operated without US military experts being involved. So it seems like a big escalation. It also seems kind of tactically calculated. And I'll let Mikhail speak to the Russian perspective, but it seems on the US side tactically calculated to increase the algorithm in favor of war as we move toward Trump's inauguration. Now, we still haven't heard anything, I don't think, unless Trump has issued a statement since we've been on the show. But we haven't heard anything yet from Trump. I think overall, if we see the conflict continue to cascade and escalate, regardless of what Trump has signaled on the campaign trail, it will be hard for him to draw back a much more widely escalated war when that momentum's there.
No, not at all. Look, there is, well, just like an idea. Look, after Biden gave an allowance to use a long-range weapon, the Ukrainian troops will use a short stockpile of this weapon because they had about 8 ATACMS rockets in October, only 8 ATACMS rockets, and about 20, 30 Storm Shadow rockets. That's all. They didn't have a lot of missiles. So they will use it. After Trump will get into his chair, he'll just claim, oh, look, Biden administration gave to Ukrainian troops everything they wanted. They even permitted them to use long-range missile. And they failed. Why should America support them? Let Britain and Europe support them. We are out of this race. That's it. It's a great political move. And America is like, oh, it's not our business at all. And Trump gets all credits for that. Speaking from political technology and media technology point of view, I totally understand that move. And it doesn't bring us to the edge of nuclear war, because according to our doctrine, we just can think about striking by nuclear weapons. But after all, they used already ballistic missiles on Kherson region, Crimea region, on Donetsk region. It's all Russian territories. They've already used it. So we did not use nuclear strike to just deal with Ukrainian forces, right?
Yeah, and I mean, Russian officials have said that if there's any real meaningful attack, right, and it's not just anything. And in this past barrage that we saw, where Ukrainian military launched 6 U.S.-made ATACMS missiles, it was reported that 5 of those were shot down by air defense systems, and then the other might have crashed. But what's the proportional response here from Russia, and how do they kind of maintain a level of deterrence and pushback against further U.S. involvement? Especially, I mean, it's still almost 2 months until Trump administration is inaugurated, and it seems like in that course of time there could be, with this new standard that's been established, that there could be a new norm when it comes to the use of these missiles in Russian territory. So what's a proportional response to that?
Look, the problem is that according to our previous doctrine, we should have strike back using our nuclear weapons when they tried to strike our early warning radars. You know, they struck 2 times during this spring our 2 early warning radars that are part of our nuclear shield across Russia. And according to our doctrine, we should have struck back by nuclear weapons, but we didn't do it. It means that West is like trying to push us to the limit where Russia will be a main enemy of all common sense and use nuclear weapons, so it will be demonizing us. They're trying to pin us from one side, from another, try to make us to make wrong move. Right now, I see only 2 opportunities, not 3 opportunities, and 3 scenarios how we can respond asymmetrically. First one is continue to strike energetic structure, electricity system of Ukraine, but not only by targeting regular transformators and regular electric station. No, electricity station. No, we can just strike nuclear station, not directly. You know that their nuclear stations, like Chernobyl previously, they are like a hub of electricity generations. Until you cut them from electricity system of whole Ukraine, it will continue to generate electricity. So we just need to strike transformators on the territory of this nuclear atomic station and cut it from main electricity system. It will have certain political consequences because, well, Russian is striking nuclear sites and it will bring a second Chernobyl, but it's all bullshit. Ukrainians tried to capture our Kursk nuclear station and nobody cared. And we are just like separating these isles of electricity from electricity system of Ukraine. And it will bring whole Ukraine to total blackout. Right now, it will be, well, real blackout, not fake one like previous time. Second scenario will involve nuclear trainings in some region with using actual nukes. We made some trainings with nuclear weapons this year, but it's like was training without launching tactical nukes. If we use one of our training compounds, training grounds for such tests, it will have a huge cold shower all over all west, and it will surely will work. And what third scenario, right? I just forget it.
Well, how scared of
Forget
you?
about it.
How scared of you are the? How scared are you of the barking chihuahuas in Eastern Europe and then the other Western European countries who've kind of remained purposefully ambiguous, it seems, about whether or not they'll allow Ukraine to use their long-range missile systems? France said that they would allow it, and then they walked it back. We've heard kind of mixed messages over the last couple of days from the UK, and then of course you have your chorus of barking chihuahuas from the Baltic states and Poland. What do you make of Europe's kind of move? I saw the Operation Plan Germany, very artfully crafted, very witty name. But basically, this kind of notion that Germany and other Eastern European partners are also going to kind of logistically prepare for a wider war in a war economy. What do you make of all this? Is this just noise? What is Europe doing right now?
Well, actually, the West and Western and Eastern Europe started preparing their logistic system, their military systems. They started to entwine them with military systems of other countries to reintegrate them with other states of NATO and other countries. Long before special military operation. In 2021, there was one of hugest and most vast maneuvers in the Europe. In 2020, the same thing. 2019, the same thing. And during special military operation, we see how the West prepares for a huge war against Russia. For example, a couple of weeks ago, American strategic bombers B-52H were conducting maneuvers on Baltic states, and during these maneuvers, they targeted some corridor between our Kaliningrad region and Belarus. They trained to destroy logistics between our Kaliningrad region and part of Belarus, to cut it. And in the same time, Scandinavian states, they conducted maneuvers, and the purpose of them was to encircle Kaliningrad region from sea and to block our ships from exiting bases in St. Petersburg. So right now we see how all West, you're right, back in Chihuahuas, but they prepare to conduct operations to block, encircle, and capture one part of Russia in the territory of Eastern Europe. A lot of back in Chihuahuas can make a huge problem if there is a bunch of them. And well, they have some nice Western suits on them.
Well, I mean, there's like a kind of a clear divide, and maybe I'll bounce this off you guys. Is that now today the UK's kind of come out and said, "Well, we will sacrifice our troops and our jets to get involved with Israel." United States is now shifting their focus out of Ukraine, so the barking chihuahuas are the only ones left holding the bag. So who spearheads this now? Germany and Poland? I'm not really sure who's going to be left kind of holding the bag when we
Well,
USA.
Poland will be a main manpower in that conflict, because you should understand that there is a plan for enhancing Poland troops till 2027. I suppose they right now have to recruit 100,000 additional troops. They have new laws about military service. They have additional contracts, and most important, they have additional technologies from the West to develop their own military production complex. So they have everything they need, and also orders from their hosts in West to make some problems for Belarus and Kaliningrad region. So they always said that Poland is hyena, I don't know how to spell correctly, hyena of Europe, and it behaves that way. So Poland will be a main manpower behind that operation, and Baltic countries are like Chihuahua that will be acting with that hyena.
I just don't know where this kind of leaves. It feels like Europe was purposefully kind of they all have to kind of chase after their own first best interest. And for the UK, that's obviously going to be Israel. That's their forever long pet project. And obviously the Baltics are going to think that their main interest is Russia because they're right next to Russia. So now we have the EU kind of split up after all of these weird fronts have been activated by the United States. It's really kind of interesting to watch, and Germany also falls apart. It's just a really interesting scenario.
You know what else is interesting? Abkhazia.
Oh, Abkhazia. Yeah. Well, we could talk a little bit about Abkhazia because I did work incredibly hard on it. But so most of you guys do know that the Georgia is always a hot spot that's activated as it needs to be. But recently, I'm not really sure why. I guess just anything that they can deem anti-Russian becomes trending on X these days. But everybody seems to be posting about Abkhazia, and the analyst in me says these people don't even know what Abkhazia is. So I figured we should talk about why these protests are happening and why they probably don't really matter. But anyway, it's just interesting to me. The reason why I wanted to talk about it was the fact that if our listeners were watching, in Georgia in 2023 as well as 2022 or 2024, there were protests against the Foreign Agents Bill, and that's kind of what the sticking point became. There were clearly Western-backed protests, and then we had a parliamentary election very recently, which the United States actually warned that protests would happen. They did after the Georgian Dream Party, which is not a pro-Russian party; they're a pro-Georgian party. They're pro making money off of contracts to Russia. That's pretty much it. They're not a pro-Russian party, but they won a super majority. And the English-speaking countries and Italian NGOs triggered a bunch of protests, but they kind of didn't really take hold, and they sort of fizzled out. So I thought it was kind of interesting that Abkhazia kind of exploded into protests because it's a breakaway republic with sympathies to Russia. It always has had sympathies to Russia. They were briefly involved in the war, the 2008 war, and there also was a war between Georgia and Abkhazia in the early 1990s, which ironically enough, Abkhazians call it the Great Patriotic War. It's when they say they won their independence from Georgia. So that's why this is really suspicious to me, because we have English signs again. We have a lot of protesting, and they protested the resignation of the president of Abkhazia, and they were protesting a bill that was an agreement between the government of the Russian Federation and the government of the Republic of Abkhazia on an implementation of the investment activity. So basically, it lessened the restrictions on the investment activities on the territory republic. Also, recently, Putin did ask for demarcation of the borders, which I think is what triggered the West to want to go in there and start trouble. But I wanted to get your ideas about it.
Well, first thing you need to understand that Abkhazia is a region that looks like 90s. Okay, they had a lot of money from Russian tourists. They had a lot of projects they could have accomplished, and they have all economical aid they could get from Russia. But the rulers didn't do a thing. So it's just like a touristic 90s. It's like Eastern Europe, for example, maybe some kind of Slovenia or Croatia or something as well that don't develop at all. And it's the main idea. When Russia tried to push through its main bills to allow foreign money to develop a country, it was a huge boom inside this country. So we are talking about some kind of corrupted den of people who were just like some kind of parasites who were parasiting on Russian tourists. They don't want to be developed. They don't want industrialization. They don't want investments. They just want to be as they want to be. And right now, we see that Tbilisi, I mean Georgia, turning their back to Europe and start to think about how it's good to make business with Russia. They are not pro-Russians.
No.
They are just pro-Georgians. And that's it. When you're talking about people who are pro-Georgians, you need to understand that they will make their policy on their own point of view, and they will think about how it will be good for them. Abkhazia previously was part of Georgia, and Georgians in Tbilisi see Abkhazia as their separatist region. And back in 2009, after just 1 year after ending war in South Ossetia and Abkhazia against Georgia, when Russia won war against Tbilisi, it was a proposition from Dmitry Medvedev and Vladimir Putin for peace in all Caucasus. They proposed that Russia will guarantee peace in a region if Tbilisi will discuss possible reconnection and reunion with Abkhazia and Southern Ossetia on Russian terms. If Russia is a guarantor of peace, if Russia is a man behind this peace process, it will be okay with us. Right now, we see that Georgia starts to turn towards Russia. We see that Abkhazia is like, well, corrupted den, and who doesn't respect Russia at all. And we just can assume that somehow Russian policymakers will talk with their Tbilisi Georgian counterparts and say, hey, Abkhazian people are bullshit. Just take them and then invite us to hold the peace. And we'll be good with that because it will be the best scenario. We'll tie Georgia region to Russia by holding this peace. We'll have new stronghold on Caucasus, and it will be geopolitical exchange for pro-Western Armenia that right now is just running away from Russia towards West.
Well, I want to ask about like the people who are involved in these protests, because Sarah mentioned there's some Western signs, a lot of clear indication that there's Western involvement. They're planting the seeds of what they want to be
in Georgia.
But there's also a lot of Russians, right? There's also
John, there is a difference between Georgia and Abkhazia.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I'm
in
talking
Georgia,
about Abkhazia.
yeah.
I'm talking about Abkhazia now.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry, I'm talking about Abkhazia.
But they don't seem to be foreigners. They just seem to be people that live there.
It's local.
Yeah, it's locals.
Right.
It's
But it's not
it's
necessarily
just
all
some
people.
local morons who
Yeah, local
Yeah.
morons. They're
yeah.
shooting guns. They're overtaking government buildings like hooligans. But I can't help but think, since it wasn't that far of a hop, skip, and a jump from Tbilisi, that they're like,
Right.
well, maybe we could just go right there. I mean, I know that most of you guys probably saw Shay's investigation, which was incredible, but he found the English-speaking Italian NGO holding up English signs. I don't have it uploaded, but there was a sign in English that said "Death to all separatist pigs," and there was a flag of Abkhazia and South Ossetia on that banner. And I was like, whoa. And then when these protests erupted, I was like, whoa, like what is all of this? That's kind of where things like start to pique my interest when I see it was on a highway, like an overpass in Georgia at the Capitol, that said "Death to all separatist pigs" with those two flags. And that thing went front and center on English speaking media. So what are all English speaking viewers going to say? What are those two flags? And then they go look them up. And then this week, there's protests in Abkhazia, and the protests are being covered as they want Russia out of their business. And then I'm like, well, that's not really what it's about. But like those sorts of series of events are so suspicious to me. And I think that Americans miss them because we don't know that region, and it's not that big and it doesn't really affect them that much. But the people, even just in Eastern Europe, should be looking at that like, why is an Italian NGO there? Then those two flags, and now there's a huge protest occupying government buildings in Abkhazia, and the president has resigned. It's pretty
Right.
weird.
And who's benefiting from that? I mean, it's a very cost-effective way for the West to try to open up a de facto second front and distract from the special military operation in Ukraine. So that's always where my head goes.
Exactly. And they've been kind of messing and poking and prodding Georgia during the SMO, especially for the last 2 years. They've staged at least 2 or 3 of these like proto color revolutions. It's been pretty incredible what's been going on there.
Did you want to play the piece on the? I'm not sure the video.
No, it's older. It's from the Abkhaz-Georgian War. I don't have a piece on the update because I was going to go in depth about their Great Patriotic War. The Abkhazians were ethnically cleansed from a lot of their lands, and it became and so they did declare their independence and secession from Georgia, and they were recognized by Russia. So that's why this really struck me as, these kind of newer generations that sort of start to get pushed westward, and then they start protesting these governments, which they think are like kind of backwards or still aligning with things that they don't want to align with. And that's why this really piqued my interest, and I started to dig into their like recent history and why this would be happening this way. Very interesting. But I wonder if something will happen in South Ossetia next.
Well, I don't suppose so, because South Ossetia is more integrated in Russian economy processes. And speaking about Abkhazia, as I mentioned, I see it's like a geopolitical move. We can use Georgia and Tbilisi party policymakers, doesn't matter who we speak about, to just strike Abkhazia and use Georgia is like a cold shower. Or people, you don't want to be with Russia? Okay, go to Georgia. They will love it.
Exactly. And I think that
sometimes you need to show power. It's the only way you can talk with people from Caucasus or Central Asia.
Yeah, they're warrior people. They're like mountain people. You don't do diplomacy only goes so far in the Caucasus. So yeah, exactly. And they appreciate, especially in the breakaway republics, they appreciate a show of force most of the time. So they're ready for it. Well, producers telling us to talk about Moscow. Did you guys want to talk about Moscow to finish on a happy note instead of depressing?
Who is our producer? Let's talk about him.
Oh.
It's just some hidden guy who is behind this whole process, but who is behind this Russian propaganda from US.
It's some Japanese kid with an anime addiction.
Anime addiction.
And anime. He's like some kid.
I thought he was Thai.
He's Sri Lankan. You want to play the Moscow trip video again? People might want to see it. You could play it again.
Yeah, let's do it. Mikhail made a cameo, so we gotta let him see it.
Yeah, where did it go? All right, hold on. Did he remove it? I think it's gone. He removed it, I think.
Let's see.
Yep. Oh well.
Oh well, you can see the video. We posted it somewhere.
Somewhere, yeah, on Twitter. Anyway, yeah, the trip was great. I don't know what else to say about it. Area, it was a good trip.
Yeah, Mikhail.
Actually, when I talked with John, I suppose, or this creative producer,
the creative director, yeah,
the Thai guy.
Director, Thai guy of yours, he told me that, it was John, I don't remember, it just doesn't make a difference for me, that you don't have such kind of symposiums dedicated to science in US, only Comic Cons and Porn Cons.
Comic Cons and Porn Cons. And you know what? There are stuff like that where people get together and discuss things like that, but like regular people aren't invited. Like that's just for like shadow people, like the elites and the shadow. We would never be invited to anything like that.
Yeah.
Well,
and then
you are a new science and media elite for us, for Russians.
I'm a science and media elite. Hear that, everybody? So when you're mean to me on Twitter, just think about it. Think about who you're being mean to.
An expert on geopolitics, according to important Russians. Okay. So listen to Sarah. Have some basic respect. Have some basic respect, guys. No, but it was great, and I think the content was even different than like a lot of our events by our political elite. You know, when we look at the United States and see these things that they're promoting, like on social media, I saw a video of our former press secretary Jin Saki, like elevating these different influencers who are just so terrible. It's like a laughing stock. It's a joke. You had this like flamboyantly gay guy. Did you see this one with like nails and just treating the White House like so disrespectfully? And then beyond that, yeah, of course, we just have all the money making, the things that make money, the things that
we literally went through like a year of TikTok politics. It was
TikTok politics, man.
Never again.
But no, it was great. I thought it was a good combination of it was kind of avant-garde aesthetics, like new types of art that was captivating and engaging. But at the same time, it was elegant and sophisticated. And so I really appreciate that.
It was so
well, good. John, you're talking about symposium or Lenin Mausoleum?
Well, Lenin Mausoleum.
Both.
Well, John, I got all the way up to the door and they closed it. They closed the doors on
They closed the door on you? You didn't get to see the fire temple?
I didn't get to tell them that I was a science and geopolitical expert.
Well, next time you got to take Mikhail with you and he'll let them know.
He'll vouch for me.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a comic guy like you guys.
Yeah. But we both like to eat, right? So we did a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You know, our government tried to close Lenin Mausoleum for several times, but it will cost us several geopolitical problems, especially with China, because it's main point of interest for them, for Vietnamese guys, for Myanmar party, and so on. So
from U.S. experts like me.
And it's a big pilgrimage.
Nobody cares about you. You are not Chinese mafia. Thank God you are not Chinese.
Are you sure? Are you sure? There's some allegations that still haven't been totally disproven yet. So,
all right. So we're ending the episode on John's Chinese, and we're all gonna get nuked. So we tried to end it on a happy note for you guys.
Next episode we'll start with casino. Remember.
Next episode we'll start with our pitch for the casino, an update on the SMO, whatever else happens this week. Also, Danny Shaw's coming on, and Scott Ritter at some point. I think that's it.
That's what we got. Yeah, it's exciting.
We're very low energy today. I'm like,
well, I just miss you guys.
The vibrations are low.
The vibrations were low since we left.
Everybody vibes.
That's true.
All right, man.
Oh, God. All right. We'll see you next time then, I guess. Bye, guys.
All right. See you soon.